Thanks for being here. If everyone can get their snacks and take their seats, we're about to get started. I am so pleased to be here today. Thank you so much. And I want to welcome both our live stream audience as well as all of you who are able to be here in person. The summit today will focus on the theme of empowering eaters in support of the health and well-being of future generations, which is really a theme that I love. My name is Nierenberg, and I am president and co-founder of Food Tank. We are a research and advocacy organization that really is devoted to highlighting stories of hope and success in our food and agriculture systems, both internationally and domestically. And we do this with the aim to inspire, motivate, and ultimately activate positive transformation in how we produce and consume food. We are so excited to be here in Atlanta for this summit in support of the National Strategy on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. This is our first summit in Georgia. I'm so happy to be here. And I want to thank our partners, who I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. The Biden-Harris administration has really called on all of us as farmers, researchers, advocates, philanthropists, nurses and doctors, business leaders, local policymakers, and eaters all across the country to take action to end hunger, reduce diet-related diseases and health disparities, and improve the well-being of communities. As you will hear today, we all have a role to play in this very, very important work. And I want to thank Kellyanne Blazek and Will McEntee, who are with us from the White House Office of Public Engagement. Their leadership to advance the national strategy has been absolutely inspiring. They are true public servants, and it has been an honor and a privilege to work with them. I also want to thank our incredible partners, our host, Emory University, including the Emory University Center for Ethics, and especially Dr. Jonathan Crane. Please give him a round of applause. And a huge thank you to our partner, Spelman College, especially Dr. Kimberly Jackson. Give her a round of applause, please. I love Dr. Jackson. They are both forces of nature in the food and agriculture movement, and this event is only possible thanks to their support and encouragement. I also want to take a moment to quickly thank some of our other wonderful partners, including Bon Appetit Management Company, Ahold Delhaize USA, Nature's Find, Oatly, and Bonterra Organic Estates, who have supported today's event and our reception, which I hope everyone in this room will stay for. The food in the back is beautiful and spectacular, so take your time and go back there. It will be beautiful again later in the day. Round of applause for that. That's great. So this afternoon, you will hear from farmers, researchers, nutritionists, policy experts, nonprofit and business leaders, and many other stakeholders. We have a very packed agenda, and to make sure we end on time, and we will because all Food Tank events end on time, the discussions today will be very fast-paced and dynamic. If I cut panels short, no matter how vibrant they are, I hope you will understand and forgive me later. You will also have a chance to continue today's discussions by connecting with the speakers and attendees during the breakout sections and also at the reception, again, where we will have delicious food and drink to enjoy. So please, please stay. Please also make sure to step out for water and bio breaks or to move your legs, because we don't have breaks built in, and we make sure to do that so that the live stream audience can have a great experience, as well as all of you in the room. And I hope everyone will share today's conversations using the hashtag #FoodTank and the handle #FoodTank on all social media platforms. We'll be replying to your comments throughout the day in real time. I'm now excited to invite to the stage Dr. Ravi Bellamkonda, the Provost of Emory University. So please give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Danny. I'm delighted that you have chosen our beautiful campus for your first Georgia event. Distinguished guests, welcome to Emory. We've chosen a beautiful, beautiful day to be on our campus. It's like this every day of the year. Particularly when the students are throwing the Frisbee around, it's actually very beautiful to be here. We're really honored to host this event. It's a very meaningful event for us. All of you distinguished guests in the audience, those of you watching online, it's just a joy to be here. Particular welcome to guests from the White House, our wonderful academic institutions, including Spelman, many agencies and organizations across the country gathering here. In particular, the Emory agencies that Danny alluded to, the Center for Ethics, Campus Life, Spelman College, of course, and Food Tank. At Emory, we have this word that you'll hear a lot if you spend like 5 minutes here, and we're very proud of this because it speaks to Emory's ethos, and we call that flourishing. And in flourishing, we find an aspirational state for us as a community, for our students, our faculty, our staff, and also for all of us as human beings. And by that we mean a certain deep sense of success that nourishes the whole person, not just the professional success of our people. But then we can't talk of flourishing in the absence of nourishing that comes from food and other ways in which we are nourished as human beings. And indeed, we are not, as a campus, immune to this ourselves, to food insecurity. We have mechanisms run by campus dining, actually, to have a food bank that we supply food. It's stocked, and it's actually used quite a bit, and we're trying to understand the mechanics of that. And we have student organizations that go into food waste and trying to eliminate food waste by working through what's called the Emory food chain. We also do a lot of research in this space, as you can imagine, and both in terms of access. Many of you know of the study from our Rollins School of Public Health. Megan Winkler and Angela Zhang found that majority black neighborhoods, and no surprise, have access issues when it comes to nutritious food that's affordable. In fact, the food that's accessible is not that healthy and cheap. And so there's a surveillance report that Emory is proud to put out to help us understand this issue and shine a light on such topics so we can begin through policy and other interventions address these things. One of the solutions to such things might be, you would think, to create community gardens, and indeed the West Side Gardens is an example of that. But even in those settings, Eri Saikawa's work has shown that there's increased lead in the soil there, and due to her research and shining a light on that, we've been able to have interventions that replaced a lot of the soil, so there is local efforts to have healthy food. Stepping back, speaking of Georgia, we're a $70 billion agriculture industry here in Georgia, and we all can witness climate change. And so we have Emily Burkfield trying to develop predictive models of how growing crops is going to be impacted in the age of climate change, telling us what areas are susceptible, in what ways, what kinds of crops, what practices can be informed. And we believe this will be a very useful tool for us as we plan for food security on a planet where the number of people is continuing to increase. And then lastly, of course, it's not just these issues, but we have people like Usha Ramakrishnan in our Global Health Institute thinking about food, and I know there are sessions on this today, thinking about it from a nutritional perspective, omega-3 fatty acids, how to look at maternal health, and things like this. And we all know about rice and vitamin A and blindness. So there are many variations of that theme where we can think of food as nourishment for overall health of our planet. So I'll end my welcome remarks with the word that I started with, which is flourishing. We're ambitious for the world, and we should be, and food is a core to our being, and I'm really delighted to have this conversation today. So thank you all for participating. Welcome to Emory again, and I look forward to the sessions today. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
I do feel like there is so much flourishing and nourishing going on in the Emory and Spelman campuses. We are, again, very honored to be here. Thank you so much, Ravi. It is now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Pamela Scott Johnson, the Provost of Spelman College, who will also say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now, you actually can say good afternoon back to me. This is this Sunday in Georgia. I'm Pamela Scott Johnson, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs at Spelman, and on behalf of President Helene Gale, the Board of Trustees, faculty, students, and staff at Spelman, we're honored to be here, and we're honored to partner as well as thank our partner and sponsoring organizations. Let me move this mic so I can actually read my notes. So the title of this gathering is very appropriate in many ways: Empowering Eaters, Access, Affordability, Health Choices, Atlanta. So the title reflects our alignment in addressing some of the same goals. Two of those five pillars that the Biden-Harris administration have put forward are ones that are indelibly etched in the strategic commitment of Spelman College: enhancing nutrition and food security research, equity in access, and improving access for our communities. So while we're privileged to be a part of this conversation today, we see this participation as our obligation and our responsibility as a demonstration of how we choose to change the world. And if you know anything about Spelman, we send our graduates out, but we embody a choice to change and impact the world. So who are we at Spelman College? As if some of you don't know, but we'd like to remind you. We are a premier Black women's liberal arts institution and global powerhouse founded in 1881. And we take with great pride that intersectionality of being part of the historically Black university community, being part of the women's institution and a liberal arts institution. As such, we've been the #1 HBCU over the last 17 years, but we're known for our exemplary undergraduate teaching and innovation. So it's a small wonder that our college is dedicated to being on the forefront of transformative, interdisciplinary projects in higher education, such as food studies. Our transdisciplinary food studies program is certainly one of our points of pride, for we are one of a few HBCUs with the food studies, and ours is unique. Other HBCU campuses are rooted in agriculture, plant and soil studies, nutrition, and food science programs. And it is within an institutional context of curricular review, emphasis on interdisciplinarity, and intellectual and activist energy about food that sparked an alliance of faculty across disciplinary boundaries to create our food studies program at Spelman. So we believe our food studies program, through our African diasporic lens, that guides students in questioning the very foundation of what we consider food to be challenging, and challenge them to consider how food, its naming, production, distribution, and consumption is historically contingent and is simultaneously a site of pleasure and power. The program showcases Black women scholars in the food ecosystem and engages our Spelman community in program activities on topics that examine political and socio-historical questions on the causes and consequences of Black women's labor, productive and unrecognized, food access, federal policies, land ownership and theft, healthcare, and food security. Thus, we at Spelman understand the politics, those activities associated with governance food, and the polity, those groups of people organized around the governance of food. Although faculty members have been doing food-related work for years, the food studies program became a minor course of study in the fall of 2015 and graduated its first studies minors in the spring of 2019. The program continues to thrive under the leadership and direction of Dr. Kimberly Jackson, who you've heard and who you will hear later, and who also serves as the chair and professor of chemistry and biochemistry. And at present, our food studies program has about 25 minors. Dr. Jackson states that our food leaders, remember the politics and polity of what we do, and the unrecognized labor of that food distribution and productivity. So our food leaders value inclusivity, innovation, and justice. Based on these powerful values, this is important work for our community. This academic year alone, the program has impacted over 300 students, faculty, and staff who have been volunteering at our Victory Garden, creating classes from the garden resources, and attending our various food studies, seminars, and workshops in service of the values to our programs. So for the past 5 years, one of the important projects of the Spelman Food Studies program has been to host an annual Food Justice Summit. This year, we elevated this partnership with the Food Tank and with Emory University to host this incredible event. So I'm just going to take a point of privilege from my notes to say for many years we've been thinking about how to eliminate hunger in this world. I hope that we will have the will to do so because we have the skills and we have the resources. And I'm grateful to the Biden administration for being able to proffer this as an opportunity. I also think about the rich heritage of living in Georgia, and I'm a South Carolinian, and where food is grown and for which, though, there are people in our communities that go hungry. So think about that. Think about what's wrong with that picture, and think about what's right about who we are and what we're doing today to gather. So let's stop talking about this and let's do this. So I thank you today, and I look forward to a fruitful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pamela. We absolutely do have the innovation, the resources. We do need more of that will, and I hope policymakers are listening today.